Okie dokie. So welcome everybody. Happy Thursday. Tonight's class, we are focusing on Upavista Konasana.
Legs up the wall.
No, that's not legs up the wall. Nice try.
Good one.
Nice try. Upavista Konasana. It's seated. It's a seated wide-legged forward fold. So you're like, oh, that's not a big deal. We're doing a seated pose. But in order to do Upavista Konasana really well, it requires a lot of groin opening, a lot of hip opening, hamstring stretching, lower back stuff. It's actually, as anyone who's ever tried to do it, it can be a complicated thing to do well, right? Everyone can do it, but we often feel like we're doing it in just sort of this is the best that I can manage kind of way. And so the idea is to feel like you're actually able to do it with some feeling of knowing how to engage your legs, right? Because it's the engagement of the legs that makes the stretch really, the forward fold aspect of the stretch really possible, right? And we don't want it to be a pose where we always feel like we're yanking or just struggling with where we think we're not flexible or where we feel not flexible. The point of the pose is that by doing it with engagement is that we create more flexibility where we need it. So it makes the pose easier to do progressively as we go forward. I also have a little bit of a subplot in my mind that we're working on this week in preparation for what I may do next week or, the week after that. So you'll have to think in your head what that could possibly be. So comfortable seat, let your eyes close. But I've been liking the idea of, just the metaphor that comes from the name of the pose is Upavista, wide angle, right? And taking that to be the same thing as widening the angle of your mind, widening the perspective of what kind of information you actually take in, right? So when we say pay attention, we tend to mean that as something that is narrowing. Right. And even in yoga, we say, well, that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to get that one pointed focus. But narrowness is generally exclusive, right? It tunes out information that we don't think is important. And we do that every single day, trying to just manage what we think we have to manage or what we think we're capable of managing. We just tune everything else out, including our own internal dialogue, including our own internal feelings, including anything that has to do with anyone else. So this widening of perspective is that feeling where you can still have the part of your mind that is able to focus, is able to stay present with one thing. But all of the space around that focus becomes soft. It's like being able to watch one single bumblebee in a wide meadow, or to continuously watch one cloud as it moves across the blue sky. So this is what we're looking for in meditation. This is what we're looking for as a sense of being aware, but at peace with the world around us, the world within us. And the wider that angle is on the mind, it might seem like it's overwhelming at first because you can't pay equal attention to everything, but you don't have to. The softening of that feeling of tension around paying attention is what gives us the chance to feel that interconnectedness. You no longer have to pay attention to the breeze, you can just feel it. You don't have to pay attention to every sound, your ears just take it in. You don't have to label every emotion, you just feel how experience wells up inside of you. And without the labels, maybe that welling up is a combination of what we would call sadness and joy and fear and excitement and whatever else there is to feel. But it's not overwhelming because we're not clinging to it. So like a bumblebee in the meadow, follow your breath. And let there be that feeling that there is space all around that following, softness. And whatever comes into that space comes in. And whatever exits out of that space exits. And you just keep your mind following that bumblebee of the breath. And just one more moment like that, giving yourself a chance to actually soften into the experience of yourself. So that even when you engage, You stay soft around that engagement. Good, full deep breath in, full deep breath out. Then bring the hands together in front of the heart, palm to palm. And we'll open sound of Om. Take a deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. So stay seated. If you want to switch the cross of your legs, you can. And then bring the hands behind the head, elbows wide, so interlacing the fingers behind the skull. Good. And press the head back into the hands, keeping the chin level. So that pressing the head back, you want to actually feel that as you're pressing the head back, you're almost pulling the hands forward at the same time. So it's not just letting the weight go backwards. It's as the head moves back, the hands press into the back of the skull. Good. And then bring the elbows slightly towards each other, soften your rib cage back. So it's going to feel like almost like you're rounding into your middle ribs, and then drop into your seat. Nice. And the elbows are squeezing in. Dig the tips of your elbows straight down to the floor. So it's going to feel like you're pulling the arm bones down and into the armpits. Good. And then maintain all of that and start to lift your sternum just a little higher, tilting it up towards the ceiling any amount. I want you to feel like that area around your lower shoulder blades is squeezing or doing something. Good. So keep those elbows hugging in and dragging down. Yeah, so the shoulder blades move down towards your hips as you lift the sternum up, 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 up. Press the hands into the head into the hands. Beautiful. And now stretch your arms straight up alongside your ears as though you are hugging an invisible block. So you have this pressing between the forearms. Good. Pull up through your middle ribs one more time. And then take a twist to your right and let the left hand come to the outer right knee, right fingertips back behind you. Again, pressing into your right fingertips, push the floor away. And then soften into your middle ribs. Good. And then pressing that left hand into the right knee, bend the elbow, the left elbow, and drag yourself into the twist a little deeper, navel to spine. Good. Just take one more full breath into your side ribs. And then exhale all the way back to center. Stretch the arms up alongside the ears. Again, squeezing as though you have something between the forearms. And that squeezing, pull up through your middle ribs. Good. And then again, press your sit bones down to the floor. Nice. So you're getting this length in your spine from both directions, lifting through the upper body, pressing down through the lower body. And then start to twist to your left. Good. And then let the right hand come down to your left knee, left fingertips back behind you. Press into the left fingertips so that you sit up taller again. Press down into your sit bones and then round into your back rib cage. Nice. And then bend the right elbow without dropping the head. Bend the right elbow and start to twist your ribs, but keep the top of your head pressing up. Good. Soften that middle rib cage again. Drop into your sit bones. Good. And then slowly come all the way back to center, please. Nice job. Now switch the cross of your legs if you have not already. And start to, with hands on the front of the knees with the thighs, circle your torso. Good. So it is automatic in my mind if you are working on trying to create more ease in a seated posture that you have to start with your lower back. Because the most challenging thing for all of us when we are seated is trying to maintain an upright spine in a seated position because our hamstrings are either gripping or our hips are gripping or everything is gripping, who knows. And so any seated posture, if you cannot sit towards the front edge of your sit bones comfortably, and you can't feel that ability to elongate your spine from below your belly button, is you're going to struggle with a seated pose. Move yourself the other direction, please. Just take that circle the other way. Good. And noticing where you start to feel like, something's getting stretched here. Where in the lower back? At what direction? Which corner? If you want to get really into your geometry, at what degree of your circle do you start to feel like something's going on? Upavista Konasana, wide angle. Good. Nice, you guys. Start to come back towards stillness, please, with the upright spine. Nice. Stretch the arms up alongside your ears again. Interlace your fingers. Press the heels of the hands up towards the sky. So again, pulling up through the side waist. And then as you exhale, round into your rib cage, press the arms straight out from the shoulders or straight out from the chest. Good. So really pull in and up through your middle rib cage. Hollow the belly. Nice. And now stretch the arms all the way up to the sky again, reaching, pulling up through the middle ribs. Then exhale, press the arms forward again, round into the rib cage, push out and really push. So push through the hands and then pull back through your armpits. Yeah, nice. Then come all the way back up, extending again as tall as you can. So you might even feel here like you're squeezing your butt to try to get taller. That's okay. Go ahead and squeeze your butt, get taller. And then start to draw in and up from the lowest part of your belly button. Nice. And now stay lifted through that low part of the navel, but drop the squeezing of your butt. That's it. And now maintain that. Exhale, curl and round. Press the arms straight out in front of you. Don't go back to squeezing your butt. Nice. And then come all the way back up. Excellent. Release the arms out and down. Let your right fingertips walk out beyond your right hip. Left arm comes over the ear. Bend the right elbow, letting yourself drop into that side stretch, any amount. Press down through your left sit bone. Yeah. Nice, you guys. Take one more breath. Really press through the left sit bone as you reach to the right. Good. And now as you exhale, you're going to release your left hand down and turn your belly towards that right thigh. So keep the right hand where it is. Just release the left hand down. Turn your belly towards that right thigh. Imagining that if this was Upavista Konasana, you'd be bowing over that extended leg, but the knees are bent. Good. Turn your rib cage a little wider so that right rib cage lifts up as your left rib cage spins forward. Walk yourself out as long as you can over that right thigh. Press down through your left sit bone. Good. Notice what you're doing to stabilize your pelvis. Are you clenching your butt? Maybe. Press down through your shins. Yeah. Try to find the internal, can I engage through my low belly instead of clenching my butt cheeks? Good. Come all the way back to center, please. Walking the hands forward and then back up. Good. Stretch the arms up alongside your ears. Nice. Interlace your fingers. Press the heels of the hands all the way up. Again, really getting that sensation of pulling long through the spine and then dropping back into your seat. Stretch the arms out and down. Good. Let the left hand walk out to the left beyond your hip. Let the elbow bend. Take the right arm over your ear. Side stretch. Press down through your right butt cheek. So again, you want to have that resistance, stretching in both directions. Nice, you guys. Good. Again, press down through your shins and feel almost like you can hug your knees towards each other here instead of clenching your butt. Good. And then keep the left hand where it is. As you exhale next, start to take that right hand down towards the floor. Turn your belly towards the left thigh. Good. Lifting the left side ribs even higher and wider. So it's like you're trying to square your chest towards the floor. Good. Keep that right sit bone rooting down. Again, interesting to note at exactly what point in your back you start to feel like, oh, right? That sort of achy, this is a good stretch, but I don't like it. That tells you a lot, right? Is it close to your sacrum? Is it closer to your shoulders? Does it actually feel like it's along that length of the flank, along the rib cage, under the armpits? Where is it? And the practice is to get to know yourself really well. Take in more information than what you think is immediately necessary for you to do something. Just take in the full experience. But walk yourself all the way back towards center. Walk your hands back in. Nice. And then go ahead and roll forward onto hands and knees. Come into downward facing dog. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. You got it. Nice. Steady your heels, please. And then go ahead and slide that right leg up and back behind you into down dog split. Good. Nice, you guys. Come up on the ball of your left foot. So as you lift up, kick your right thigh higher, a little higher. Pull up through your middle rib cage. Nice. And then let your left heel soften down towards the floor as you extend out through that right heel even longer. Beautiful. And then go ahead and step the right foot forward between the hands, into lunge. Good. Take both hands inside the front foot, drop your back knee. Good. And then flex that right foot a lot, drop onto the baby toe edge of the foot, let your knee go wide. Then walk your hands forward even further. Good. You can drop down to your elbows here if you'd like, or stay right where you are on your hands or use blocks. Good. The idea is to keep pressing in that back knee, pressing down into that back knee, move that left hip up and wide. Yeah, because the more you lift that left side, the right side can actually soften and widen into that open rotation. Good. And your thigh rotation really does matter in Upavista Konasana. You're like, well, it's not our hip opener, it's not pigeon. Still matters. If the thigh is not sitting in a comfortable place in the hip socket, when you try to come forward in that position, you're going to hit resistance, right? You're going to hit bone on bone. And that's where some of us get stuck in the pose. We say there's no way I can go any further without pulling something. Like, well, yeah, but the way to get further is to create more space in your pelvis. Take one more breath where you are. And then either keep the knee wide if you like it there, or bring the foot back to flat. Plant that left hand or forearm, take your right arm up to the sky, twist. All right, so lots of options. Keep pushing your left hip wider to the left, whatever variation you're in. And then stretch that right arm over the ear, reaching towards the upper left-hand corner of your mat. Soften the left shoulder away from the ear. That's your supporting arm. Nice. Rib cage draws in and wide. Awesome. And then slowly release the hand. Bring the foot back to flat if it's not already. Lift the back knee up. Good. Step your left foot forward alongside the right. Standing forward fold. Bend the knees a lot. Take your belly onto your thighs. Wrap the arms around the backs of your legs. Drop your chin towards your chest. Widen your inner knees. Lift and spread the toes. You can feel big toe mound, baby toe mound. And then let the toes come back down towards the floor. But keep that feeling like you're squeezing the arches. And then start to scoop your belly. Press your hips up towards the sky. Press down into your heels. And now, even though you're in the forward fold, draw your shoulders wide away from your ears. Don't move the head, just move your shoulders wide. You got it. And then release the hands down to the floor. Great job. Good. Step your leg a bit. Oh my God. Yeah. Right leg back behind you. You got it. And then drop that right knee. Take both hands inside the front foot. Flex the left foot a lot. Drop onto the baby toe side of that foot. Let the knee go wide. And then walk the hands forward any amount. Again, you can come down to your forearms if you'd like, or stay upright. Good. You got it, Lisa. Nice, you guys. Good, Maral. Dina, just watch the head stays in line with the spine. Nice. Keep your toes curled back. Fully flex foot this way. Yep. And push your right hip wider to the right. Nice, guys. It's a perfect time of year, I think. I mean, all times of year are great to do it, but it's a perfect time of year to do a lot of staring at the sky because it's a really pretty color a lot of days. And even when it's cloudy, we don't want to complain about it because it's warm enough, right? Most days now it's warm enough where we don't mind that there's clouds because there's also sun. So that's a meditative action in and of itself, to start to become present with what's there. And that you don't forget that there's the sky just because there are clouds. And in fact, the clouds help you become aware of the spaciousness of the sky. Same thing happens in your mind. Don't get obsessed with thoughts. Let thoughts become the reason why you remember that there is the spaciousness of your mind. You're like, not in this pose. Walk your hands back in if you'd like. If you want to keep that foot where it is, keep it where it is, or take the foot to flat. Plant that right hand or forearm. Take the left arm up to the sky, spinal twist. Good. Keep pushing that right hip wider to the right. It doesn't matter what position you're in, you're still doing that. And then take the left arm over the ear, reaching towards the upper right-hand corner of your mat. And again, this is a twist. So you're dropping that right armpit under and rotating the left shoulder and rib cage up. And then draw your head back. Yeah, and now are your hips still in front of your back knee? They should be. Good. And then release that hand, please. Release the foot if it's still at the on the outside edge. And then lift that right knee up off the floor. Good. Take your left leg up and back to down dog split. You got it. Come up on the ball of your right foot. Good. And then kick that left thigh even higher. So again, you got to work that low navel, below navel energy. Good. And then as you keep that left thigh kicking up, let your right heel reach down towards the floor, but keep that lift. So again, that low belly doesn't get to collapse. Good, even though you want it to. Bend your left knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Good, drag back on the hands. So you lift your upper back, lift your back of your throat just a little bit, that little scorpion variation. Keep your knee pointing down. Lift the back of your throat like your heel and your head are going to meet. Nice, nice, nice. And then release the head, Morale. Straighten that left leg. And then step the left foot back between the hands. Lunge. Good. Take both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your right. Come to the center of your mat. Prasarita Konasana. Nice job. Come up on the balls of your feet. Good. Squeeze those feet towards each other. Squeeze your shins towards each other. And at the same time, feel like you're trying to widen your inner thighs. So let your, make sure your hands are touching something. Good. And then let your heels come back down towards the floor just for a second. So come back to flat foot. Bend your knees a little bit. So as you bend your knees, you can stick your butt back more. Go into a little bit of an arch in your lower back and flare your sit bones. Yeah, arch your lower back, flare your sit bones. Good, good, good. Even more, even more, even more. I know. Yeah, because I want the front of the thigh creases to get as soft as you can get them. Good. Now notice that, right? Give a little squeeze of your shins here. Start to straighten the legs again without letting that get hard. So you got to draw the hips up, almost like you're hanging over a monkey bar. Make that space at the front of the thighs. Good. Now let your hands touch down. Come back up on the balls of your feet. Don't let that space get hard. Yeah, so you got to keep sending your tail up as though you're going to flare your sit bones. Yep. Keep that little monkey bar sensation at the front of your thighs. And squeeze the shins. Nice. You're basically doing Upavista Konasana, but standing up. Awesome. Release the heels back down to the floor. Please plant the right hand, take your left arm to the sky, twist. Pull that right hip wider to the right. Nice, Susan. Good. And then release and switch. Left hand touches down. Right arm comes to the sky. Nice little adjustment. Pull your left hip wider to the left. I do enjoy when I'm adjusting and somebody's sacrum like moves under my hand. It's fun. Good. Release that hand back down, please. Walk your hands straight ahead like you're coming into the wide-legged downward facing dog. Yeah. And for a second, come up on the balls of your feet. Yep. And then hug the legs towards each other. So again, you get that true sensation of really engaging. Pull the thigh bones up towards the apex of your pelvis. And then try to get that hollowing in your low belly like you're folding over that monkey bar. Good. So the inner thighs go way back. The tailbone goes way up and back, which seems counterintuitive, but that's where you want it to go. Good. And now let your heels reach back down towards the floor and don't let your pelvis collapse. Keep that softness at the front of your thighs. Yeah. Nice, you guys. Walk your hands all the way back in, please. Good. Turn your left toes out to 45 degrees. Bend the knee so it comes towards the second toe. So side lunge, so not fully towards the front of your mat, just halfway. Good. Bend the knee. Keep your hands right where they are so your torso is not moving. Good. Just come into that side lunge and then send your tail up and back again. That's it. Nice, you guys. And then bring yourself all the way back to straight legs. Turn the left toes forward. Turn your right toes out to 45 degrees. Bend that knee. Come into the side lunge the other direction. Good. And the whole idea here is to just keep working the rotation in the hip socket. So keep your inner thighs widening, tailbone lifting up and back. Good. It's going to seem like that can't be right because doesn't that arch your back? Yeah, but you can always adjust your ribs. Good. And then bring yourself back to straight legs. Turn the right toes forward. Turn your left toes out again, 45 degrees. Bend the knee. Good. Come back into that side lunge. Good. Maybe going a little bit deeper than you did before. Walk your torso towards the right. Yep. Away from the bent knee. Like, why? Good. Nice, you guys. Walk your hands back to center, please. Straighten that left leg, turn the left toes forward, turn your right toes out 45 degrees. Bend the knee, come into the side lunge. Again, tilt your tailbone up and back. Don't get stuck in that sensation of I have to drop my tail here. Walk your hands to the left, away from the bent knee. Good. I also think how I can keep working parts of your body in very different ways because I don't want to keep doing the same things with you every single class. Even though if something isn't broken, you don't need to fix it. This is fun though, right? Yeah. Come back to center, please. Straighten the right leg, turn the toes forward. Last time, turn the left toes out 45 degrees, bend the knee. Go into that side lunge. And then here, if you feel that you can, drop the hips low enough. Here, you're actually going to do the reverse of what I just said to you. You're actually going to scoop your tail, drop your tail, lift up through the hip points, and then turn onto your right heel and take your toes up to face the ceiling. So that straight leg, turn onto the heel, turn your toes up. Yeah. Yeah, so Moral, your hands are straight forward. Yep, you just turn that right heel, instead of the foot flat, you turn it up. You can't see me. This way. Whoop. Don't fall. Yeah. Good, you guys. And then go ahead and come back to center. Turn those left toes forward. Take it to the right side. Turn your right toes out 45 degrees. Bend that knee. Come into the side lunge. And again, it's an option, right? But the idea is to start to change the angle of your pelvis. So scoop into your belly. Start to drop your hips as much as you can, lifting through your hip points. And then turn your left toes up towards the sky. Again, because this is all about trying to work rotation. Nice. Good, you guys. And then walk yourself back towards center, straightening both legs. Excellent. Walk back to the top of your mat, please. Turn your left toes. Step back to downward facing dog. Nice. Take your right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Bend that knee, keep your heel in towards your butt, knee points down. Let your heel lift a little higher, and then draw those arms up and in. Lift the back of your heart, the back of your head, come into that little scorpion variation. Then letting your left heel reach down towards the floor as you do that. Nice. And then release the head, please. Release that right foot down to the floor. Nice job. Drop down to hands and knees. All right. Okay. Circle your hips. All for a seated forward fold. Back, yeah, that's the thing, right? So that's my goal, is that if you're going to work on a seated forward fold, any seated forward fold, you have to start with the back. Move your hips the other direction, whatever way you're rotating, go the other way. And even the simplest poses, again, teach us a lot, right? So Upavista Konasana looks like it's no big deal, but for someone who's tight in their lower back and or hamstrings, it's a really big deal. It's frustrating. Mm-hmm. There's lots of people who really hate seated forward folds because they're like, I just can't do them. The truth is that if you can't do a seated forward fold, it probably means that you're actually struggling to sit comfortably in the rest of your life. Yes. Come back to center. Child's pose, please. Knees wide. How would you guess? How did I guess? I live in a body too. Yeah. And then so we try and find comfort because we can't sit comfortably. So we get ridiculous sofas or ridiculous armchairs or things that make our posture even less helpful. Say that that's the only way I'm comfortable. So if we knew that there was a way that we could sit more comfortably and it just required us to do a little bit of stuff with our body, a little bit of extra awareness, we'd probably do it. I assume that you do it, you're here in class. But we have to know that that's the key to feeling more comfortable in those day-to-day situations. Walk yourself all the way back up on hands and knees. You got it. Downward facing dog. Straighten the right leg up and back behind you. Down dog split. Good. Bring that knee forward and towards the upper left elbow. So bring your shoulders forward and then squeeze the knee across the body. So over towards the left elbow. You got it. And then take that leg all the way up and back behind you. Nice. Bend the knee again. Kick your heel in. Stack the right hip on top of the left. Keep your left armpit nice and lifted. Awesome. Good. And then point that knee back down to the floor. Please bring it forward. And this time wide to the right for pigeon. So right knee goes towards the right wrist. Place the shin. Sliding the left leg back any amount. Good. Try to keep your hip points in line with each other so you're not letting the left hip go further back than the right hip is. Good. If anything, you want to feel like you're drawing that left thigh bone up and in. Press through that right shin. Walk your hands forward. Go ahead. Take your, whatever your version of resting pigeon is. And then even here, once you've gotten comfortable, can you feel for a moment that you press into that back knee just a little bit? So it's going to feel like your butt lifts up a tiny bit. And then try to find that flaring of the sit bones. Send your tailbone up and back. Yeah, it's going to be like you're arching your lower back just a little bit, but find that. Yeah, because that's going to give you even more opening through the groin. It's going to give you more opening through the, around the glutes. And now once you've done that, now draw up and into that low belly again. Yeah. And then imagine that there's just a point where you are still trying to flare the sit bones, but you're also trying to bring your sacrum into neutral. You're trying to bring your sacrum into a supported position, like you're, imagine like placing your hand underneath a sagging bridge or something. No, sagging is not a great word.
Like, what?
Yeah. But you know what I mean, right? The sacrum, if it gets overarched, is going to feel like, I'm sagging, there's no support. So if you imagine that your abdominals are actually drawing into that space to bring your sacrum into that almost straight line, then you're going to get the perfect mix of having that widening of the inner thighs, but also the engagement of the low belly. This is what creates a really supported pelvis. You got to have both of those things. So it's like we try to arch the back first, get as wide as we can, and then we use the abdominals to start to balance that. And if your abdominals don't typically like to work, that's where we struggle, because we're like, I don't know how to do that. But we practice it. Go ahead, take one more breath. Then go ahead and walk your hands all the way back in. Nice, lift the back knee. Good. And then send your right leg up and back, down dog split. Beautiful. Release that foot down to the floor. Take your left leg up, down dog split. Good. Bring the knee forward, armpits over your wrist. Squeeze that knee towards your upper right arm or right elbow. Bring it all the way forward and squeeze. That's it. And then send the leg all the way up and back, straight behind you. Bend the knee again, kick your heel and stack the left hip on top of the right. Don't let your right hip completely sag. Pull it up and wide. Good.
Don't say that.
I know. I have to stop saying it. And then take that left knee facing the floor and then bring it forward and wide for pigeon. Does it help if I also say if you keep working that really low belly area, you keep getting more and more internal, that it helps sagging organs? Pelvic floor keeps everything from dropping through gravity. Good. So place your shin, send that right hip forward, walk your hands straight ahead, and come down to your resting pigeon. I know it makes sense, but we don't want to think about our sagging organs.
No.
We don't think about them until someone's like, hey, you really have saggy organs. Goal of yoga is to avoid saggy organs. One of the goals. Good, you guys. And then even here, press into that back knee just a little bit so that your butt lifts slightly. So you're not just pushing through the front of your thighs. And then try and find that tilt where, again, it's like you're arching your lower back. The front of the pelvis is actually tilting towards the floor. That's going to give you more space. If you overdo it, it's not going to feel good, but you can find that rotation and then balance it by drawing below the belly button up and in as though you're trying to take that sacrum back into a straight line. You're not going to succeed in getting it fully tucked, and you're not going to succeed in letting it collapse completely. That's the point, is that you find that place that is the most neutral that your pelvis can be. And then this is what we work with, right? Is just trying to do that in every position that we can. And then over time, that's what changes our posture, right? Our ability to keep our pelvis in that more neutral alignment. Then it's easier to stand. It's easier to sit. It's easier to walk. If it's easier to do all of those things, we also don't have the accumulated discomfort of doing those things. And suddenly we're like, huh, life doesn't have to be so painful. At least not because of that. Nice, you guys. And all because of Upavista Konasana. And again, people who are flexible in groins, hamstrings, pelvis, take seated forward folds for granted. Because it's very easy for them. And we take everything for granted as long as it's easy for us. That wide angle is to pay attention in a soft way to everything. That's what interconnectedness is, interbeing as it's referred to. One more breath where you are. And walk yourself back up onto your hands. Tuck the back toes, lift your back knee, come back to downward facing dog. Good. Nice, you guys. Look forward between the hands, step or jump your feet forward into squat. Nice. Yeah, let the feet go wide. Good. If you like that variation, so you can do it that way, or wide. There you go. But if the feet are wide, we're looking for the heels to find the floor or to have a blanket underneath the heels. Elbows inside the knees, pressing wide, squeeze your knees into your elbows. Yep. And then even here, as weird as it feels, try and lift your tailbone up and back. Maybe you have to take your hands to the floor for balance to do that. But try and find that little arch of your lower back. So you're still trying to get that tilt on your pelvic bones. And then draw in and up through the low belly and imagine the tailbone coming straight down to the floor. Good. Squeeze the knees in towards the elbows. Press the elbows wide to the knees. This is how you learn to hold squat for a millennia. Engage the legs. Good. Release the hands down to the floor. If you're feeling super sassy and you want to go for a crow pose here, go for it. Coming up on the balls of the feet, lifting your butt a little higher, letting your shoulders move forward, scooping into the low belly, lift your hips high, and then placing the knees towards the upper shelf of the arms, as close to the armpits as you can get, squeeze in. Nice, Pearl. Good, gaze slightly forward, so your back of your throat stays up. Awesome. Nice, Lisa. Nice, Harriet. Good, you guys. Good job. Come on down to your feet, please. Plant the hands, straighten the legs. Standing forward. Oh. I know. All right, take your right leg back behind you to lunge. Take your left leg back and up, down dog split. Don't know, I'm starting everything on the left leg today. Good, bring your left knee forward towards your nose, please, and then send that leg out wide to the right. So straighten the leg out behind your right wrist, straight in line with your hip, and then keep pushing out through that heel until your outer left hip finds the floor, coming into Bridget's cross. Good. So that left leg is in line with your hip as close as it can be, in line with your hip. Turn your ribs to face forward. Walk yourself forward onto your forearms. Good. Yeah, so it's like that fun little wild thing balance, but all the way down to the floor. Bridget's cross. Good. And if this position truly does not work for you in this orientation, you could be on your back here doing the straight-legged twist. Just bringing that leg across the body with a straight leg, either holding with a strap or behind the leg. Good. And the idea is that with the legs wide, the outer hips, outer thighs need to be stretched already. Otherwise, as soon as you get into the posture, those muscles are all going to say, no, thank you. And that's about it. Is sitting is all you can do. It is a big stretch. And I have to laugh because growing up in gymnastics, right, it's the first thing that you do in every class is you sit in a straddle and you just throw yourself on the floor, throw your belly towards the floor. Upavista Konasana is not throwing yourself on the floor and hoping for the best. Really, none of your poses should be. Good. Take one more breath where you are. And then walk the hands all the way back in, please. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. You got to use those low belly muscles to pull that left thigh back and up into down dog split. Good. Then release the foot to the floor. Vinyasa if you'd like, or hang out in dog or child's pose if you prefer. If you're doing a vinyasa, come forward to plank, lower down to your belly, rise up into cobra. Nice area. And then find your way back to downward facing dog when you are ready. Good. Nice, you guys. Right leg comes up and back behind you, down dog splits. Bring the knee forward towards your nose and then send it out wide to the left. So behind the left wrist, flex the foot, you're on the baby toe edge. And then push outward until that outer right hip finds the floor. Left leg should still be straight back from your hip. Turn your ribs forward as much as you can. Come on down to your forearms. Keep that right foot flexed if possible. So it's like you're still pushing into an imaginary wall through that foot. Yeah. And again, this is one of those things where intense stretches or intense muscles that have to work is you want to create, even if it's imagined resistance, you want to create resistance. Because the engagement of the muscle is going to help keep the sensation of the stretch from being overwhelming. Right? It's reminding your muscles, it's reminding your connective tissue that you're not going to push it past its extreme. Right? So we call this, right, that we always have the complementary actions of pushing and drawing in. Expansion and contraction. So here, if you flex the foot, press the baby toe down to the floor and imagine that you're pushing into a wall, you're going to engage muscles in a subtle way that you weren't doing when you weren't thinking about that. And then you can think about that left hip spinning forward and even feel like you're trying to pull that right thigh backwards, right? It's trying to actually pull to the right side of your mat as you extend out through your left heel. And you're like, how can I push into an imaginary wall and press my hip towards an imaginary wall on the other side at the same time? But the crazy thing is your mind imagines it and your body does it. So we create resistance, we create engagement, and suddenly sensation is tolerable. Might still not like it. But my joke is you shouldn't feel like the Barbie doll whose legs are about to be pulled off. One more breath. And then start to walk yourself back up onto your hands, tuck the back toes, lift your back knee, pull that right leg all the way up and back to down dog split. Good, release that foot down to the floor, please. Slide forward into plank pose. Lower down all the way to your belly. Good, either bend the knees here for cobra or keep the legs straight, your choice, give you the option. So if you're bending the knees, just bend the knees and then we'll rise up into cobra, lifting head, neck, and chest. But if your knees are bent especially, feel as though you're pushing down through the tops of your thigh or tops of your knees and lifting your butt slightly up. Yeah, nice, girl.
That gives more room.
Gives way more room. And then slowly release, belly back down to the floor, release the feet. Good, you guys. And then as you're ready, flip over onto your back for a moment. Oh, I'm ready. I've been ready. Been ready since I walked in to lay down on my back. Bend your knees, plant your feet, just pause. Ay, ay, ay. I think I like doing seated forward folds, kind of. They're like my favorite poses to deconstruct. Because the complicated things, we're so concerned with the complications of just doing them that we don't even get really into the nuances. When you know that it's a seated forward fold, maybe you can't do it well, but it's not something that you can't do, right? You can sit on your butt and you can pretend to fold forward. Then you have the chance to really work with nuances. Maybe that means I've been teaching yoga too long. Like, I need more interesting things. That is like that expanding lens of the mind. to take in the nuances. Use that metaphor of the bumblebee to notice that they don't fly in straight lines. There's very little in nature, if anything in nature, that works in straight lines. Even our mind, while we pretend that it can work in straight lines, is usually it's not doing that either. It's moving in spirals and circles, repetitions, forwards, backwards. And you observe the wholeness of that. Amazingness that your mind is able to somehow simultaneously be worried about the past, present, and future at the same time. And that it can perceive all of those experiences and doesn't have to worry. One more breath, feeling your pelvis get a little heavier on the ground. And then don't change your feet at all. Just start to rock your pelvis forward and back, tilting forward and back. Little pelvic tilts. Again, noticing which direction seems easier to do, which one seems more difficult to do. So the butt stays on the ground. You're just tilting the pelvis. So it's a little arch at the back, and then it's a curling of the back, feel the sacrum pressing down. Again, try not to squeeze your butt to do this. Do it from the actual muscles of your low belly. There'll be a little contraction of the glutes for sure when you're tucking the tail, but don't overdo it. Nice. And then find what feels like neutral, where you have that arch of the lower back first, and then drawing the navel below the navel down towards the floor, feeling that little sweeping up towards the belly button. Nice. And then keep that low back rooted down to the floor. Take your legs up to 90 degrees. Good, so knees bent, sorry, not straight up, but to a 90-degree angle. So knees in line with the hips. Beautiful. Flex it. You got it. Excellent. You guys keep the left knee exactly where it is. Start to extend your right leg out towards the floor so it hovers just above the floor. So extend it out like you're pushing towards the wall. Good. And now draw it back in like you are purposefully doing a really slow, almost bicycle. And then press your left heel out, keeping the right knee at that 90-degree angle. Press out, keeping that low belly rooting down to the floor. So don't let your low back arch here. And then squeeze that left knee back up into that 90-degree position. Press out through the right heel. So again, I don't want it the full circle of a bicycle, but I want you to have that pushing and pulling. And then draw the right knee back in, push out through your left heel. Good. Keep that low belly rooting down towards the floor. Pull that left leg back in. One more time each side, press out through the right heel. Don't let your left knee change because of that. It's staying neutral, staying exactly where you placed it. Good, and then pull that right knee back into 90 degrees, send the left heel forward, extend out, and that leg should get lower, should go low in line with your hip, push out. Good, and then bring it all the way back in, 90 degrees, excellent. Bring the knees in towards the chest, come into happy baby, reaching for your ankles or your feet, knees go wide. Good, root your low back down towards the floor. And again, press your elbows just a little bit wider and squeeze your inner knees in towards the elbows. Imagine my knees right at that place where your thighs meet your pelvis. Like, I don't know if I like that. Good, guys. Draw the bottoms of the feet together, please. Drop your heels towards your groin, but don't drop the knees. So you're in Baddha Konasana on your back, but you're not bringing your feet to the floor. So keep the knees angled up towards your armpits. And again, root down into the lowest part of your sacrum. So it's like your tail is going to come all the way down to the floor. And now squeeze your knees towards each other. Yeah. And root your tail down towards the floor. So again, you want those thigh creases to get really soft here. Nice. So it's like you're trying to almost cement or sink the thigh bones into the hip socket. So you got to really press down through the lowest part of your tail. As you squeeze those knees in, press down even more, draw those knees towards the armpits. But press your low back down. Yeah, and maybe you actually feel the softening at the tops of your thighs. Awesome. And then slowly release, squeeze the knees all the way together. Please lift your forehead up to meet your knees. Hug, hug, hug. Awesome. And then roll forward and back on your spine. Just a nice little massage. Good. Nice. And then come on up to sit. Good. Just come into cross-legged for a moment. You can face whatever direction you're facing. Walk yourself forward. So a forward fold with your legs cross-legged. It's nothing fancy. It's just a release for your back. Like we're going with this. It's just a release for your back. Good. Nice. And then walk yourself all the way back up. So if you know that you are someone who typically likes a blanket underneath their seat in seated forward folds, make sure you have that. If you have a wall, I want you to use the wall if it's possible. So you're actually coming to face the wall. If you have one. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. You're still just going to come into Upavista Konasana. So you're taking your legs nice and wide. If you have the wall, you're placing your heels up against the wall. Yep. Trying to get your toes to face pretty much up and down. So again, it might be the flats of your feet that are touching. It might be the edges of your feet, depends on your particular structure. Good. And you're going to wiggle yourself towards the wall. Any amount. Let those legs go a little wider. And again, if you need the blanket or want the blanket underneath your sacrum, then make sure you have that. Good. And then if you can, so a lot of you, most of you have your hands behind you. That's great. Plant your hands behind you for a second. So you can sort of lift your butt and again, send it backwards. Do that little arch of the spine, send your butt backwards as your shoulders come forward. Good, so you get that tilt and then you can drop into the tail, lift up through your low belly and then walk your hands up the wall. Up the wall, if you can. Yeah, the idea is to be as close to the wall as you can tolerate.
Oh. Yeah, that's my method.
Well, whatever your tolerance is, I'm not judging, just it's whatever your tolerance is. Okay. So here you guys, if your toes are falling outward, really important that you adjust your position so that your toes can face straight up, right? Because that is really indicating to you what the rotation of your thigh bones is. And if your feet are falling open, it means that your thighs are already really externally rotated in the socket. You're going to run out of space. Yeah. So you got to get your feet up so that you are rotating the thigh bones in. Oh. Walk your hands up that wall. Lean forward. I know, so don't go any further. Again, sensation, but you want it to be tolerable. So press your heels down into the floor. Feel as though you are drawing the thigh bones in towards the apex of your pelvis, like you're actually pulling your leg bones towards each other. And then let your whole pelvis tilt. Bring your chest forward, bring your ribs forward. Yeah. Yeah. Nice, you guys. And then take one more breath and slowly walk yourself back away. Wiggle your butt back away from the wall, please. Kind of fun because you are just right there. So as you come back, press your feet straight into the wall, straight out in front of you. So like you're setting up for Paschimottanasana. So bring the legs together. Press the feet into the wall. Again, blanket underneath your sacrum if you'd like. But here, feet pushing into the wall, toes facing straight up and down. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Again, getting that sensation here of pulling up through your side waist. So here you are in a seated forward fold. Press your butt back. Yeah, imagine that your sit bones are actually pushing to the wall or the end of the room back behind you. And then push your feet into the wall. I didn't say come forward yet, right? Just work the legs. So you're pushing forward through your feet, pulling back through the tops of your thighs. Get really soft in that area at the top of the thigh where your legs meet your pelvis. Now imagine that monkey bar. So you got to curl into your low belly a little bit. And now reach forward towards the wall any amount. Come into your forward fold. Keep that hollowness in your low belly. Keep sending your butt backwards, but push your heels into the wall. Yeah. Nice, you guys. Stretching the hamstrings from the hamstrings. Press your heels straight down. It's going to take the sensation out of your knees. Good. Nice, you guys. And then slowly unwind, come all the way back up. Excellent. Turn yourselves away from, well, if you're at home, you can face whatever direction you want. But guys in the room, turn yourselves away from the wall, face forward. You guys in the room. Like, use guys. And now again, blanket underneath your seat if you'd like. Take your legs out wide. Upavista Konasana. Now with the wall, you may have noticed that with that solid surface that you actually felt the active stretching of your groins, where usually you probably just feel the owing, the stretching of your groins. Ow. Yeah, just going out. So when we say here to reach down and move your butt flesh out of the way, move your thighs out of the way. I have one person who says move your mushies. Move your mushies out of the way. What we're doing is we're facilitating the ability for you to feel your sit bones and to rotate your thigh bones slightly inward. Instead of having them start with your feet falling open, we want to actually turn the thighs to face in, right? So see if you can feel that. And then press down through your heels and drag back until your knees pop up. Yep. Knees pop up. So your knees should be bent enough that I can notice it. More like that. There you go. And now send your butt backwards. Walk your hands forward with your knees bent. And watch your feet. Don't let your feet roll out. Keep that sensation of rolling the inner thighs down towards the floor. It might feel very counterintuitive because usually when we fold forward here and the legs are rotated outward, we get stuck right at the top of the thigh. And there's nowhere else to go. With the knees slightly bent, you can send your butt back, you can scoop your belly, you can come up and over that and keep reaching forward through your side ways. And then if you want to, you can start to press out through your heels to straighten the knees, but keep your heels rooting down enough that that space behind your knees stays soft. It never locks. So you still want to feel like you're pulling your thighs towards the apex of the pelvis. Really good. Walk yourself all the way back up. Don't change the legs at all. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. Now here you really got to feel like you've got that rubber band around your ankles that you are squeezing the legs towards each other. Reach, 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 reach. Pull up through the low waist. Press down through your sit bones. Now start to extend forward into that forward fold without the use of your hands, just working from your pelvis and your back. Extend, extend, extend. Keep pressing your butt back. Squeeze your legs in. Press down through your heels. Knees stay soft. Doesn't matter how low you go. It matters how much you pay attention. Good. Reach, reach, reach. One more breath. Armpits up, Lisa. Armpits. Yeah. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor. That was Upavista Konasana. And then walk yourself all the way back up. Nice, you guys. Take the legs forward towards each other. Give them a little shake. Felt good. Felt really good, right?
Yeah. I always feel taller after.
Yeah.
I know I'm not, but I just feel it.
Yeah, we feel taller because we release the tension in the pelvis. You can actually sit up taller, stand up taller. Keep your right leg extended, bend your left knee. Step it over the right thigh, and then reach the right arm around the knee for a twist. Left hand comes back behind you. Good. Again, internal rotation is the thing that's nice here. But our challenge is that we go into Upavista Konasana already externally rotated because we don't realize that we are, because that's what happens when we sink backwards on the pelvis. The low back is tight. We sink backwards, the legs rotate out. And then we get really stuck in the hip socket. There's nowhere to go. So everything that we do is to get more length in the low back, rotate the thighs inward just a little bit. And then suddenly you have room to fold the pelvis over the thighs. Come back to center, please. Switch your legs. Take your left leg straight out in front of you. Bend the right knee. Step it over the thigh. And then reach around that knee. Right hand comes back behind you. Nice, Susan. Good, Tina. And bring yourself all the way back to center, please. Unwind the legs. Come to whatever seat you would like. Just because I'm going to drive this metaphor home, Comfortable seat. We're going to do just a moment or two of Brahmari breathing, so bee buzzing breath. Right, and the purpose of that is to, again, just give your mind this sort of sensation of like shaking it up a little bit so that it can start to release some of that inner tension and start to just experience things more fully. So if you've never done this before, you're in for a treat. So what the actual breath is, it's the humming breath, right? The mouth stays closed and you're actually making the humming sound internally. But you're doing it, this is the position, thumbs go into your ears, eyes are closed, and you can place the fingers over the eyes if you'd like. It's all symbolic that you're just closing off the senses. You're bringing your middle fingers to just gently, almost restrict the nostrils. You can't restrict it completely because you're breathing in through your nose and then humming out the exhale. And then your fingers come to just close off the mouth, right? So they're just resting there. So you're inhaling the breath through the nose and then exhaling, making that humming sound internal. Then you'll inhale again, continue. If you haven't started yet, start with your next breath. The idea is that you have that sensation of being almost underwater with the sound of your own breath. So make the exhale as long as it can be. You want to almost vibrate that sound all the way up into your sinuses, into your navel cavities. So really let the sound reverberate. At the end of your next exhale, release the sound. Let your hands drop down to the knees or the thighs. And just listen. Mind fall open. Then for tonight, if you would like to stay in your seated meditation for Shavasana, stay. Or as you're ready, find your way onto your backs. If you're in the room with me, headspace center of the room. Take any final spinal twist that you would like to. Maybe a final Gomukhasana with one knee stacked over the other. Or just stay where you are and enjoy your breath. Aware again of the sensation of your breath. With that image of watching the bumblebee in the meadow, the mind can wonder, why do bumblebees fly? Well, because flowers bloom. Why do the flowers bloom? Because the rain falls on the earth. Why does the rain fall? Because the ocean is the ocean. Why does the ocean move the way that it does? Well, because of the moon. Why does the moon stay so close to the earth? Because of all the stars in the galaxy. From any single minuscule, tiny piece of your existence, you find yourself enmeshed in this wide, 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 vast experience. It is maybe so far beyond the mind's ability to hold. But just by following that thread, the easy inhale and exhale, one piece leads you to the next piece, leads you to the next piece. And at some point, part of the mind stops looking for the way out. You might even feel like inside the mind is smiling. Why do I exist? Because the breath is moving. So you allow the breath to guide you. We keep that open, wide lens so that we don't miss a moment. This vast, vast experience that we're already in. If you're lying on your back, begin to let your body stretch and move. Drawing the knees in towards the chest and rolling to the right side. And taking a moment and finding your way up to sit. If you are seated, let your breath get even deeper. Feel the steadiness of your seat. And everyone brings hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. We say we bow to our inner selves. We're really bowing to that knowledge that we are interconnected with all other things. And whatever it is, the energy, the thread that runs between everything, that ignites us into inhale and exhale, that ignites every other being into that same pulsation, expansion, contraction. And so what we bow to is not this personality that we are. We bow to the place that is always in that state of knowing that pulsation. And through that, we honor that and say, may that be what moves through me with each breath, each thought. Let that guide me through my day, my life. A deep breath in for Om. And sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Do the silent internal namaste first, the bowing to that inner self. Then the external namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week. Till I see you again. Stay tuned for the exciting adventure that next week might be.
Oh, there was a hint about.
There is a hint. I'll be very interested to see if any of you can guess what I might do next week. I'll see you guys soon.